Hello, this is Dr. Do again. This video is continuing with alphabetic list problems. I think I have finished the diseases that I can think of, started from the letter M, either diseases or conditions or general thought or medical reasoning. Today I'm going to move on to letter N. So the first thing came to my mind to start with the letter N is, of course, neural system. The neurological deficit. Actually, this is it's kind of the wide concept, variety of diseases, variety of presentations, variety of locations, and in terms of sensational versus movement, or central nervous system versus peripheral, or the ascending versus descending, or generalized paralysis, or local tingling numbness. So this is such a wide, broad concept in this neurological deficit term. So before I start talking details about this neurological deficit, let me just bring out the first most important, like any neurological deficit associated with emergency situation. You probably know it. I just briefly mention, like we did mention so many times, stroke, for example. Older people with coexisting any other systemic diseases suddenly developed either drooling, or cannot lift up your arms, or cannot talk right, or any signs, or you feel numbness, tingling, any of those signs, I think that's probably the sign to remind you, see the emergency as soon as possible. Maybe it's just one episode of like young people, but we always, in the medical field, for the physician or medical standpoint, we always pick up the worst situation just in case. So go to the emergency to diagnose or to exclude, and also there's a probability. For example, the older people with hypertension, diabetes, and suddenly develop the numbness, tingling. Not like the young people develop this, have been healthy, and overnight dinners probably slept on his arm. And so the same presentation, numbness, tingling, but in the medical standpoint, what the probability for the older people had a stroke compared to the younger people. So this is how to identify, to analyze in the medical field. So then again, for those older people, regardless of what kind of presentation, neurological deficit is numbness, tingling, or cannot move, or anything, or you feel eye pain, or cannot speak well, or drooling, any of those signs, see the emergency as soon as possible. So anyway, any this kind of neurological deficit you can manage at home. Probably is not, unless some, like I said, some problems is, even though it is you can, there's nothing to do, like some of the neuritis, for example, can have some neurological symptoms, but still just monitoring, supportive care at home, but still need to under the diagnosis from the physician, and also under the guidance or advice from the medical professionals. So talk about this, and let's just break down individual neurological deficit. Let me just start from the briefly a whole picture of the nerves or nervous system in the body. So the body, we have central nervous system versus the peripheral. The central nervous system, I think I mentioned, is brain and spinal cord, connected by the medulla oblongata, running through the brain to the center of the spinal cord, and the rest of it are the peripheral nervous system. And in terms of difference between central nervous system, peripheral nervous system, pretty much the same. The neurons and the nerve fibers, and also the synapse, the connections. The one of the major difference is the peripheral nervous system, because the special cell can produce the myelin. Schwann cells was the ugly oligo cells in the brain, and Schwann cells from the peripheral so has the ability to repair if the damage is minor. But for the nervous system, the cells does not have this capacity to repair the central nervous system in the brain. So anyway, and it's a lot of, actually the nervous system is one of the most complicated system, and one of the most system that not quite well known still. But this is just briefly introduced. And in terms of the sensational or movement, these are along our body. There are a lot of nerve tract, what means, for example, the sensational signal is really the nerve tract carry the signals up, ascending to the brain, and the movement tract are usually carried down from the brain to the muscle or to the tendon or to the skin to move your extremity. For example, I'll give you probably example to explain. When you touch a needle, for example, the signal of the sharpness through the ascending tract, through your skin receptors and going up several ganglions, several stations, move up to the thalamus and then to the brain, said there's something sharp there, it's dangerous. So the brain, through the descending tract, sent to the muscle, move your arm, contract the muscle, move your arm away from those sharpness. So this is the in general, the introduce about the idea of this, how the nervous system works. Of course, there's different kind of synapse, receptors, and also neurotransmitters, a variety of them. And also there are another autonomic nervous system, which is a peripheral system. So this is a kind of complicated. I probably confuse you, but anyway. And now let me talk about neurological deficit. What kind of deficit? It could be, like I said, generalized paralysis. If that's the case, usually caused by the central nervous system. This paralysis also could be floppy, which lost the muscle tone, or could be rigid. The muscle tone is increased. So usually, especially for those with the muscle tone increase, so that's really the upper of the neurons. So what kind of causes for this neurological deficit? Either from the small tingling numbness or to the paralysis, or cannot move the limbs. Stroke is one of the common, and neuritis with different presentations and different locations. And also a systemic disease, for example, the diabetes cause the peripheral neuropathy, and also some kidney disease or liver disease, and all can also cause this neurological deficit. Usually it's in the brain, cause the altered mental status, or can still cause the peripheral neuritis because of the chemicals. So this is just a brief introduction for this video. Start from the general idea of the nervous system, how it's organized and how it's function, and in terms of the general or localized neurological deficit. And the causes variety, like I mentioned, and also I mentioned the emergency signs. You need to see the physician as soon as possible. I'm going to stop here for now, and I will thank you for watching. I will see you next time.